Artificial intelligence seems to be taking over the business world. You'll find AI in healthcare, finance, logistics, e-commerce, and many other sectors. To some workers, AI appears to be a huge threat, but for others, surprisingly, AI is becoming a trusted member of the team. Hello, and welcome to The On-Ramp, an ongoing series that highlights thought leadership from Suffolk University in downtown Boston. My name is Vasilina Kazakova, and today I'll be speaking with Professor Sheila Weber. She's chair of the Management and Entrepreneurship program here at Suffolk Sawyer Business School. And in her recent research, she's been looking into the benefits and challenges of AI in teamwork. Professor Weber, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So to start off with, what is your general interest in AI as a team member, and why is it important for teams and organizations?
Yeah, great. So what I think is really exciting right now happening in teamwork is that we know a lot about how teams work together and the dynamics that happen in teams. And with the onset of AI, we can now also leverage AI to have a real-time look even while teams are operating in their normal business environments.
Awesome. And what are some examples of AI in teamwork?
Definitely. Great question. And we want to know, how can we use AI to really improve our teamwork? And what I see is some important ways that that's happening. One is that AI can really reduce the mundane work, the things in teamwork that we don't really want to do, like taking notes, for example, setting agendas sometimes, right? Some of these tasks can be done by AI now, which frees us to spend more time on our human-to-human interactions, which is what I really hope AI can help people do in the team environment. We also know that, like other areas of business, AI knows a lot about how teams actually should work together effectively. We've done years and years, decades of research on teamwork, and AI knows a lot about that. So it can actually really help you with challenges and problems that you might be having in some of those human relationships and dynamics in your team. By asking for AI's guidance and advice, you may get some, likely will get some pretty good information.
That is definitely an interesting point of using AI to kind of manage teamwork conflicts and things like that. I never really thought, I don't think many people even think about that. They always think about like you mentioned before, managing the general mundane things, like organizing information, but to actually have it help out and be that kind of like the calm in the storm.
Exactly.
In teamwork, that is so interesting. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It also really can be very helpful for leaders in team environments, because it also knows a lot about leadership, and we have lots of theories and research on leadership, and it can really help guide people to be more effective team leaders, which I think is super exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because leaders are usually the ones on the very top of things, but even leaders need support sometimes, so it's good to have, I think, technology and AI to have their back at times.
Exactly.
Can AI really help people work better with other people?
Yeah, and that's really the premise of what I've been researching, is how can we use AI to then free up humans to have more human-to-human interaction and be really successful at that. So one of the ways that I've been looking at this and researching it is through AI taking meeting notes. And what happens now with a lot of our meetings that we're in is that there's an AI note taker in the background taking notes and summarizing things. If you think about it, over the course of a team working together for a long period of time, we could accumulate quite a lot of information about the teamwork dynamics. And AI can help us to meta-analyze all of that data and give us some really great insights to help people be more effective in those teaming situations.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think this is probably one of the most kind of helpful ways of using AIs for taking notes, and even You do a lot of research concerning AI, and even in research, I think like transcribing like interviews
Exactly.
and organizing notes and like even note taking for that as well. I think
Yeah.
it takes away a lot of pressure and lets you really like kind of delve into the process of that without having to focus on like frantically
Right.
transcribing notes and
Right, and
yeah.
if AI can do some of that for us, then we can, as humans, spend more time discussing the issues that
Yes.
come out of that. What is the data telling us? What can we do with that information? How can we have more innovation and more creativity and spend less time maybe doing those mundane things
Yes.
that could be done by AI?
Absolutely, and I think a lot of researchers would agree because researchers come in with the research question that they're interested in, and then that mundane work kind of is like, so I think it's amazing that AI would give them the opportunity to focus on what they're interested in,
Yeah.
and then take care of the boring, mundane things
Great.
per se. You talk about AI, how AI as a teammate can be a paradox. How so?
Yeah, so the paradox is such a cool and challenging thing, but from a research perspective, paradox is really interesting. That tension. So what we see, like we can have AI and we know that a lot of data is being captured at work about humans interacting with other humans in team meetings, even on the chats that happen in like Microsoft Teams or other platforms like that. With AI, it's very easy to then analyze all that information. While that could be really helpful in highlighting what's great and where things could improve in a team, it also means that to some extent organizations are also monitoring what's happening in these environments. And what we know about teamwork is that a fundamental layer of it is trust and psychological safety, that we feel like we can really be our true selves in those team situations, that we can have conflict, that we can engage in a lot of different communication. And if we think we're being monitored, we may in fact reduce some of those elements, which could hinder our teamwork. So we can see like benefits of the AI and how we can make our teams more effective. And then we can see this tension of, hey, wait a minute, something is tracking things, a lot of data is getting accumulated. What's going to happen with that at work?
Right. Yeah, so it's almost like while it takes away from one thing that puts pressure, it puts pressure in a different way and creates tension. So AI is definitely the double-edged sword that has both. And what are the easy wins teams can get right away with AI being a teammate?
Yeah, one of the things that I think is a really easy win is, well, first of all, it's really important for a team to have a conversation about how they want to use AI when they work together. And if they are willing to use AI as a tool to make their teams more effective, a super easy win is to start to do some of that tracking and analyzing of these meeting notes. One of the challenges we've had with helping teams be effective as a consultant is that you might come in and you could do training, you could do workshops, and they could learn a lot of things, but that doesn't always transfer back to the workplace and how they're actually working together. If we can capture information about how teams are actually working together and interacting together in their meeting dynamics through these teamwork chats and things like that, then we're helping with AI to improve the team as they're working along the way. Rather than waiting till the end or doing something up front, we can do things all along the way to make the teams more effective.
No, that's amazing. It's almost like introducing AI to the people and then the other way around too. So as people learn AI, AI kind of also kind of gains a personality as well, because I feel like that's the important part of being a teammate. Like every individual has their own set of skills, their personality, and they all just pitch in their pieces. So when AI is able to be tailored towards them, that's when it's like the most effective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And what are some things that can go wrong?
Right. So as we were talking about before, I think one of the big things that can really go wrong in an organization is not having these honest conversations about how are we going to use AI. what is our strategy, our approach around AI, and how do we collaborate together to figure out the best way to implement and use AI successfully. We know now that like AI can do so many things, but sometimes it's just not being leveraged because we have to change our behavior to make the most use out of it. And those conversations about how we change our behavior, how we embrace it, how we make it effective in our work environment are as important as learning how to maybe do a prompt or have AI analyze something. We also need to be looking at how our behavior is going to change along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's the challenging part with introducing AI. And like, I think that also like if you look back at like when the media was getting its like the big break and how that when that was introduced, a lot of people are kind of iffy with it. So I think it definitely takes time to get used to for people who are not really everybody, because it's fairly
Right.
new. So I think it is like a challenge definitely to get people kind of situated with it. But I think that exposure and the workshops and stuff like that can definitely ease that anxiety and kind of get people to, like it a lot more. And
I would love for people to know more about AI helping with these human relationships at work. I feel like, there's so many stories about how people struggle through difficult relationships in the work environment. And we don't always talk about, or people aren't really getting to the point yet where they might be using the AI to tell AI your situation, what's going on in that relationship, and have it give you some guidance and advice, particularly if you tell it, like, I want that advice to be based on research, on teamwork, you're going to get some really very good information.
Interesting.
So I think it's a cool way that we can really be leveraging AI.
Yeah, and do you have like a specific example of how, like a specific conflict that was resolved with using AI?
Well, actually, one of the things that we've been doing with some of our classes is that students can use a particular prompt, or we've made it also into a GPT, and it'll help them to increase their conflict. Like, just telling them different ways to approach a problem, or having more of that conflict dialogue with them, because we know that actually for our teamwork, we want to have conflict. And we're trying to help students, and even when we work with executives and managers, we're trying to help people to engage in constructive, effective conflict in the workplace. And AI can help us to spark some of these new ideas and engage in some of that devil's advocacy. That's a really great way to improve teamwork.
So if a company wants to use AI as a teammate to improve team collaboration and communication, what are the first steps?
Right, so my suggestion is first to work with a group of people in your organization to look at your strategy for using AI, particularly, in team environments. How are you going to leverage it? How are you going to use it? And to start to have those honest conversations and work with your team, work with the organization to develop your specific strategies. We always want to be mindful that we don't always know exactly what AI is going to do. And so that raises those ethical considerations of how do you want to use it? How are you monitoring this? And how are you ensuring that you're getting the most out of it, and also that it's being ethically used in the organization? Yeah.
Great. And last question, should companies and workers be worried about AI, or should they see it as an asset rather than a threat?
Right, so it's a really good question, and I think that everybody's got it on their mind, how is this going to go? And we obviously don't know the answers to that, but we do know that companies are looking for people who have those AI skills. We're seeing that more and more, and also new jobs being created. and some jobs really shifting because of AI. So I think the future holds a lot of change in our workplace, and it is important for folks to be embracing AI and thinking about how it's going to reduce that mundane work and also elevate the type of work they're able to do effectively.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, AI is definitely here, and it's here to stay. So I think it's just a matter of getting used to it and learning how to use it as an asset, and just have it be that helping hand that kind of lets people do what they love and take care of that mundane stuff that kind of tends to be the downside of a lot of things.
Right, exactly.
Well, Professor Weber, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on The On-Ramp.